need another monitor. Hey guys, Ryan Gardner, Reeducation of a Nation. So we are live, guys, once again. And today's topic, as you saw the title, there's a friend of mine who is right now fighting for national child protective services reform. Right now, she's currently in a battle for the physical protection and custody of her granddaughter. And this fight goes so much deeper than just CPS or DCS or whatever acronym or title the company has within the United States or within the government. Right now, there are countless lawsuits, countless people being charged with child abuse, or not even being charged with child abuse, but the child is being taken away from the home. I've been given several articles to review and look at, and I'm going to bring up a couple right now. One of these, as you can see, is the Brian A. Settlement Agreement, and it's the lawsuit was filed by Children's Rights Inc. in 2000 and settled in 2001. Since that time, the Department of Children's Services worked, as you can see. And the point I'm trying to make with that is that if you read that article, if you read that bit of information, I'll put all the links in the comments below or in the comment section. What you're going to see is how CPS or DCS in this case in Tennessee had to be told how to treat children and families and how to sit there, and they were told that you're operating on these parameters, which is racially biased, and basically kids are being torn from their homes. When I thought the entire purpose of CPDCS or CPS, depending on Child Protective Services, was for the protection of the child and the child's well-being and the family. Since being introduced to Miss Shabazz, she's a great person. We get along. We talk all the time. We're talking about environmental issues, social injustice, several topics that are close to my heart and hers. And this hit home for her. It hit home for her because her daughter is being, I want to say, accused. It's from what I gather of the story, and she'll be hopefully be on the interview soon. She had to step away. The child got sick, and she's going to verify all these things. The child got sick or went in for a checkup. Wasn't crying, no coughing, no anything like that. And the child had a fever, I believe. And so they did an X-ray, and so in the X-ray they noticed some broken bones, and they were like, "Where these come from?" And so they're like, "What are you talking about?" At Que Sera Sera. So they're like, "No, you need to tell us where these wounds came from on this child." Now, there's no outside, and I've seen pictures of this baby. There are no outside visible wounds, bruises, scratches, dermatitis, anything that would say that this child has been abused. Several friends of mine are doctors, and just out of curiosity, I reached out to them. And the first thing they said was, well, could there be some genetic issue going on that they don't know about? Possibly. But the Department of Child Protective Services doesn't even want to sit there and hear that. They're not even trying to entertain it. The next information I got was, so when they were notified, the great grandmother went to get the child, and it was released to the child. Then after that, Miss Shabazz came up, the grandmother. Bless them, they got two of them. Some of them don't, and they were talking about, hey, ask all these questions. How did you do this? How did you come up with these? Where did you get these conclusions from? And in all of this, they did not want a second opinion. If they did get a second doctor's opinion, it would have to be someone that the organization approved themselves, so no other facility. It's basically almost like Instead of it having the school to prison pipeline, it is the hospital, or I'm sorry, DCS to hospital pipeline. And all of a sudden, your child is in the system. Now, I've been provided several articles, and one of these articles, see if I can grab real quick for us, was provided to me. And this one right here should say it all. An ER doctor was charged with abusing his baby, but 15 medical experts said there is no proof of abuse. So, are we just speaking of blatant corruption at every level for children? Is every child in the United States now a dollar sign for the good political structure or a good political climate and whatnot? Oh, this is what we're going to get for a child. This child's worth this. Basically, you just told us that these kids are like the Matrix. One walking copper top battery worth exponential amounts of money. Caught up in the system. That's hence I use the word Matrix. And so that's one article. And you can read just by the little the caption is, after a physician worried he hurt his baby, his own hospital reported abuse, and now fellow doctors are raising concerns about an out of control system, and that's on ABC News. NBC News. So that's one article, and then you go into that, they've got quite a few articles, or they have quite a few. Let me see, bring up the other one for you guys. There you go. Another study or report by NBC right here. And like I said, I'll put the links in. Do no harm. Doctors trained to spot child abuse can save lives, but when they get it wrong, families are torn apart. During this crisis in our country right now, and I do mean crisis, this should be the last thing. If there's no visible evidence, if a parent cannot explain something, especially for a child that's 2 months old, it could be genetic issues. It could have been something that happened during the birthing process. It could have been numerous things. In fact, there's some information I can't wait for Ms. Shabazz to get on here to explain in greater detail her struggle, her fight, her basically, she's in a war for her family. And all people can say is, well, you can't tell us why not. So this must be how. And this is what caused this. But there's so many different answers. How do you just pull a child away from the entire family? And then you start to dig into people's past, and there's no signs of abuse in their past. But now you're going to throw their past in their face because you want control of this money-making system. This child, this infant, this newborn, this person who cannot even speak their name, walk, crawl, or argue with you is now at your mercy. And that's just fucked up. I'm just gonna keep it 100. Let me see if I can reach her. And you know, the one thing I do love about doing lives is I like to interact with you guys on a level where I don't worry about editing. I don't worry about, I just want to talk. It's like sitting down and breaking mental bread with you guys. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to hear the stutters. I want you to hear how natural. I want you to feel it. This isn't just about views. This is about national awareness. This is about right and wrong. And sometimes, with that being said, we're gonna have some missteps. We're gonna have some missteps. We're gonna get false information, even though we can verify 100 times. Somebody's gonna give us some crap. But what I really want us to understand and think about is, how many people do we know that Child Protective Services has totally dropped the ball with. Personally, I know accounts of parents getting caught shoplifting that still have the kids. I know experiences where parents have been caught using drugs and still have their kids. I know situations where parents have beaten the brakes off their kids and they still have their kids. And then I know of situations where a parent is disciplining a child, and while giving them a spanking or a pop or whatever you want to call it, the child does something overreactive, trying to get away or trying not to get a spanking, and hurts themselves. And so now the parent is caught trying to explain or being put in a vice and under a microscope of how did this happen? I cannot believe that you allowed this to happen. I can't say who it is to keep their life private, but a friend of mine, both military time, and the NCO or the senior NCO told him you need to find another way to discipline your child other than spanking him, and he was like, "The spanking has been the last resort." Well, I don't know what to tell you, but don't do that. It's so amazing how people who don't have children, people who don't raise children, have so much good advice about how to make them responsible, productive citizens in our society. It is mind-boggling at the amount of foolishness that goes into people telling you how to be a good parent. Now, no one's saying you should beat the brakes off your kids, but when people call CPS, it changes your life. It changes your world. You're no longer looked at as a responsible parent. You're looked at as an abusive parent. You're looked at as an irresponsible person. You're looked at as someone who doesn't have the mental capability to take care of a child, to take care of a little one, who can't defend themselves. So what do? And as I'm thinking more about it, let me see if I can pull up another one of these articles while we're sitting there talking about it. And you know what? Let's go into this DCS lawsuit. Let's do that one, because I really was kind of think you guys are going to be able to see it, because I'm going to just leave it on the page and I'm going to bring it up so I can see it. See something. Excuse me a little bit. There you go. So, see what we got. Go back to that one. Yeah, guys, this new program's pretty sweet. If everything's set up the way it needs to be, then I'm just rolling through stuff for you guys. Good content for you guys to share with me. But while I'm looking for that, hey guys, give a shout out to Burnett's Baked Goods, Petersburg, Virginia, off Sycamore Street. Great food, great environment, great presentation. The food is delicious. Michael Burnett, veteran-owned business. He's a great guy, family operated, been baking and cooking for years. Burnett's Baked Goods. We'll leave that up there while I dig around for this darn thing that I had set up already. Let's see. Okay, let's go to this one. I know how to pull it up now. Here we go. So if you go into basically, and I'll read it to you. Let's see. Go into www.t. Let me go ahead and copy this right here. All right. Let me see. Let me put it over here in the thing right here. There you go. All right, I just put the link in there, guys, for you to enjoy that and go to that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the actual lawsuit itself and talk about that. Let's see. So it was a settlement agreement. I read it. I believe that they just fulfilled their requirements. The judge, I guess, canceled the case, whatever, in 2019 or 2017. And I'm just going to read things to me that were disturbing that you had to, that they needed to do. So, in order to fulfill the requirements of the settlement, let me see. They had to, and it was so like I just didn't understand. Here it is, right here. Principles of the 2015 Modified Settlement Agreement and Exit Plan. All children should have the best possible opportunity to grow up with a safe, nurturing family, either their biological family or, if that is not possible, within an adoptive family. Well, in Mr. Baz's case, it is possible, but DCS is not giving them that opportunity. So that's one violation of the plan. Let's see. That's the next one. The state should make reasonable efforts to avoid foster care placement by providing services to preserve the biological family whenever that is reasonably possible. Still possible. Two principles already violated. And this is the principles of the April 2015 Modified Settlement Agreement and Exit Plan. So two principles already out the door. And see, here you go. However, the child welfare decision maker must have the professional capacity to make determinations as to when making efforts to preserve biological family or leaving that child with the family is neither safe nor for the child nor likely to lead to an appropriate result for the child. So the great grandmother's not good enough. The grandmother's not good enough. And the mother has 3 kids, I believe 3 to 4 kids that are healthy, happy, and doing their thing, college and all. So why are we breaking these 2 rules? Why? And what is the end game? Why is it? And from what I'm being told, it is a money factor. Children are worth money in this system. And let's see, a couple more things that were disturbing when I came across them, and I will post this in the link below as well, so you guys can enjoy the foolishness that is this. So basically, with all this being said and done, forgot it was doing 2 things at once, guys. You can't see my face. So basically, with everything said and done, these families are being torn apart for what? No one's saying child abuse doesn't happen. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the stories that I'm hearing, the personal accounts of how the situations are being handled, is preposterous. And it is borderline. No, I don't want to say racist. You don't like throwing that word out there too much, but it's leaning that way. Because I'm being told there's no documentation about certain things. I'm being told doctors aren't being held accountable. I'm also being informed that there are situations where if you want, like I said, like I said earlier, if you want a second opinion, it has to be approved by, it has to be in an in-network doctor. So the game is already rigged. It's already stacked against you. And what are you supposed to do when it's stacked against you? How are you supposed to handle that? I mean, you saw the article with the doctor, the ER doctor. And with that in your mind, think about this. 15 medical experts say there's no proof that he harmed his child. 15! His career's ruined. And now, what are we looking for? What are we trying to say? And I don't understand this. Like, if you're truly for the child's best interest, then let's be for the child's best interest. And so, I'm trying to reach Mr. Baz again. Let's see if she's ready. and we get busy. She's such an advocate, man. I mean, she is always all over the place helping people. Social injustice is a thing, but I've seen her working with people from who've been accused of everything, and she's eating them alive, finding the missteps, finding where they're just trying to get you to sign a plea. The system is corrupt. The system needs an enema, and the sad part is the have and the have-nots is really coming out in this world right now. But I just can't believe to jump back with the COVID-19 epidemic going on, a pandemic, why you would want to take a child and put them in foster care. This child is breastfed. Who's breastfeeding the child? I was even told that they won't even allow them to breastfeed and give the child what she needs. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to prove something like that? It breaks my heart because as a father, I don't understand or could fathom doing something to my child that would hurt them that bad without having a conscience. And so there are some people like that. I'm not going to say there isn't. I'm not saying that we don't need child protective services, but I've seen them drop the ball so much or underdo. It's almost like it just depends on how corrupt your program is, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's so much to sit there and think about when you're defending you're second guessing everything. That is crazy. You're second guessing everything you've done with your child, and there could be something that you do not know that's going on with them physically, especially with a newborn, with an infant. I've seen countless pictures of this child happy, and then I've seen pictures of children whose births were botched, and the parent was accused of doing something to the child that they had not. I mean, I don't know of any way to bruise a child or break a rib or to break a bone on a child without leaving physical marks. I just don't. I truly don't. And I'm not, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I've seen some military stuff go completely the opposite way, where you think that they'd be like, okay, you know what? Nobody was hurt, but this society with the way they're operating, the way we're operating, is you're crippling parents. And I've said this before. We're crippling parents. We're keeping them from being able to truly, truly raise their children and not worry about certain things. Because even if you haven't done something, all it takes is for one person to accuse you of it. It's almost like rape. All it takes is for one person to accuse you of it, and now your job is, you're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent. And it's your lawyer's job and your money's job to prove that you're innocent, which is happening in this case right here. These parents, both young, didn't have a clue what was going on with their child. They even made it sound like something was done by the father because he was being ultra quiet, because he's shocked, but there's no bruising. I don't know of a way to hurt someone that small and not leave a mark. The article right here, if you get into the meat of it, once you start reading this article, and again, I'm going to put all these links in the comment section, you will see that the medical professionals made mistakes, and we all make mistakes, but don't sit there and compound your mistakes by trying to hide them. That's not cool. And I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. And what I want everyone to understand fully is that when you get into stuff like this, it's a fight. It is a true, honest to God, bare knuckles fight, and you have to do something about it. This CPS issue isn't just in Tennessee. This is nationwide, which is why Mr. Shabazz is trying to sit there and do national reform for child protective services, because she's finding out through her research, she's finding out through talking to people, that there's a dollar sign, an amount attached to these kids. So guys, without we're on for 15 minutes. I guess you ran into a little bit of a problem. We'll probably pick back up a little later, but you have the information I provided for you. We need to speak up on this, even right now, even with the COVID-19 going on, especially now. People are not at their brains aren't exactly where they need to be because they're terrified, so they may make rash decisions, and that's not what we want to do. Um, if you want a cup, email us at reeducationofanation.com. reeducation.nation@gmail.com. I'll put that link in here real quick for you guys as well. The cups are $10. I think I gotta check with the marketing people. They put a price tag to this stuff. I just get on here and do my thing. And if you know someone that has had a bad situation with DCS's Division of Child Support Services, or CPS, whatever acronym they go by, hey, email me. Give me a call. We'll love to have you live on the interview. Love to have you tell us your side of the story, because it needs to be heard. This has to me, there's a lot of things that need reform, but child support and child protective services, we need to reform these organizations quick, fast, and in a hurry, because all we're doing is making a bad situation worse. All we're doing is destroying families by policy, and all we're doing is just piping them from family to foster care, from family to in a group home, from family. You notice it's taking from families. It's not putting back. Ryan Gardner, Reeducation of a Nation, guys. It's been great. Share, like, subscribe. Tell everybody how you feel about the show. Tell us the show sucked. We're good. I'm always willing to make improvements. Y'all take it easy. And remember, be safe out there and keep your social distancing.